Hey there. If you're like me or a bunch of other very senior executives, one of the most painful things that you have to do is introduce yourself. It's hard to introduce yourself in mixed company because not everyone knows where you're coming from, won't understand your title, and a whole bunch of other things. So, what I'm going to do is share with you in this episode a four-part structure. It's dead simple, by the way, of introducing yourself in a way that is easy and that builds credibility just right out of the gate. And it sounds natural. It doesn't sound overly rehearsed. So I'll take you to what got me to do this. I'm working with a coaching client of mine, and a couple of weeks ago she told me that she was having a really hard time introducing herself to others. She was new to the company, hadn't really done anything yet, and she's like, I just don't even know what to say. And I stopped her then because the problem isn't trying to have something clever to say or rattle off a bunch of your bona fides. It's really connecting with someone instantly in a way that they can really understand who you are and what you do. And so it's really more about landing and having that bit of gravitas than it is trying to explain the function of your role or what your business does or anything else like that. You just want them to have a clear idea of why they should continue to talk to you. Welcome back to the Storyteller's Edge. Today we're going to break down something that sounds simple but is really hard. More people than you think really cringe over getting this right. So I'm going to share with you how to introduce yourself in a way that instantly builds authority and makes people want to keep talking to you if they're the kind of people that should be talking to you. All right, so here's the basic idea. It's an acronym that is easy to remember. It's NICE, N-I-C-E. You're going to have a nice little intro once you learn this acronym. All right, so here's what NICE stands for. It stands for your name, your identity. So how do you present what you do in a way that folks will understand or that you can explain? Credibility. So N-I-C, we're on credibility. How do you build some credibility in your intro? And then engage, right? So it's really easy. So let me just kind of walk you through it. So when I meet folks, I might start, or they ask me, hi, who are you and what do you do? I'll just say, I'm Ginger. That's my name. Really dead simple. I don't go into my title. I don't say I'm the founder of Motive 3 and we do X, Y, and Z. I'm just going to say I'm Ginger because it's easy, it's quick, and you can do it in a handshake. Okay. The next part is a little bit trickier. It's the identity. And here's where a lot of folks stumble. When I say messaging strategy to folks, a lot of people don't understand it. But that is, in fact, what I do. So I'm not going to say I'm the CEO of Motive 3 and we're a messaging strategy firm that works with B2B. I'm not going to go into all of that stuff. I'm just going to say I run a messaging strategy consultancy called Motive 3. Really simple, right? I'm not giving a lot of bona fides. They may not know exactly what messaging strategy means, but I'm going to get to that in just a second. So far, we've got something really simple. Hi, I'm Ginger. I run a messaging strategy consultancy called Motive 3. Now, the credibility part. This is the magical part that this is what builds credibility and really makes what you do real. It's how you say what you do and make it real in a way that they connect with. So what I might say is we've worked with companies like XPRIZE, like Amgen, like Y Combinator, startups and everything in between. And we really help them explain what they do in ways that people can understand, remember, and act on. We kind of work as their interpreter when they've got a complicated message to say. Super easy and natural. So I'm doing two things in this credibility section. What I'm doing is I'm giving a reason for you to believe right out of the gate. I'm mentioning some big companies. So I've got some social proof there. And I'm saying why they engage with me and my company. Really, really easy. And then finally, we have engage. And again, super simple. I'm not just going to say, how about you? But I might say, do you find that difficult? What's the hardest thing to explain when you talk to folks about what you do? Very natural. So what I want you to get from this is that it feels natural. It's not forced, but you have a formula because that's where most people get really stuck. They try to rehearse some big, long intro that ChatGPT or some other tool or that they worked really hard to craft. But it's too much to remember. And when you're trying to memorize how to introduce yourself, it just comes off a little janky. And I know that's not what you want. So I'm just going to go through it again. Someone says, hey, Hi, nice to meet you. Who are you and what do you do? Hi, I'm Ginger. I run a messaging strategy consultancy called Motive 3. We've worked with companies like X Prize, like Amgen, Kaiser Permanente, Verizon, and even some YC-backed startups and everything in between, to be honest. And they tend to bring us in to help them explain what they do in a way that people can understand and get instantly, right? It doesn't have to be the same every single time. And then finally, I'm going to be like, how about you? Do you ever find you have trouble explaining to others what you do? And then now we can have a conversation. Really, really simple. So this is really important. And now at the start of the year is the time to get this right. So just remember the NICE acronym, NICE. What's your name? What's your identity in terms of like what you actually do? How do you have that credibility statement that builds in a little bit of social proof and why folks are turning to you? And then engage. Super simple. And so you can apply that in all sorts of ways. But what's most important is start using it. Just start remembering NICE. Like, on your way to the next meeting, on your way to the next mixer, go like, okay, I've got it. Use that. And I think you're going to find it'll really stick. It'll make you feel more relaxed and engaging, and that's when people engage with you. All right, I will see you next time. This is the Storyteller's Edge. Send me a comment or share this if you know someone that could use the help.